Cancel.
Schweezy.
World. So first article we got here from the Roy's Report, back into, I guess, a little bit of our series. It's kind of a series. From IHOP Kansas City. Report: IHOPKC hired man who admitted inappropriate touch of 16-year-old fails to prioritize the wounded. The International House of Prayer, Kansas City, accepted a man into its internship in 2012 who admitted on his application that he had engaged in inappropriate touch with a 16-year-old in his youth ministry. That's according to a 2019 investigative report by Godly Response to Abuse in Christian Environment. That's Grace, by the way, which was recently leaked for the first time to that 16-year-old who's now 52 and then sent to the Roy's Report. The report claimed that IHOP Kansas City has a culture of failing to prioritize the wounded and needs to investigate alleged incidents of sexual abuse by other individuals associated with IHOP that surfaced during Grace's investigation. Prioritizing the wounded means that institutional leaders engage in immediate, healthy, and transparent communications to encourage, pursue, and care for those who are wounded and hurting. The report states these issues must be addressed and Grace recommends that these matters be promptly investigated. A failure to investigate and implement recommended changes is likely to result in continued missteps when handling and responding to misconduct issues at IHOP. IHOP Kansas City hired Grace in 2018 to investigate Brad Tebbett, a former California youth minister, after news media contacted IHOPKC with allegations that Tebbett had molested a teen girl in the 1980s, starting when she was 14. The report found that Tebbett repeatedly exploited the trust granted him by the woman, identified elsewhere as Jennifer Roach. It also found that Tebbett minimizes or fails to appreciate the gravity of his potential criminal, sinful behaviors. Okay. Looking into this, I also don't know the age difference. I want to know, I mean, part of me needs to know. The age. I don't know why I'm thinking, like, what's the age difference? I'm like, because it's still wrong. It's still wrong. It's still sexual assault. It's just, for me, I want to see how, because, like, the bigger the age gap, the worse it is. I'm like, no, I think it's just, even though it's, like, technically children, I guess he was the youth minister, okay, with a 16 in his youth ministry. So I'm just making a guess. I'm making the guess that he was an adult and she was not an adult in the situation. So, yeah, I mean, this is just stuff that IHOP Kansas City, and just the more research I'm doing into IHOP Kansas City, the more I'm just finding out. Like, last week, literally, it was the first time the best way to say it is, like, I opened a can of worms. I was just like, okay, Mike Bickle, he's using his leadership and his power over people. He's emotionally manipulating people. He's making up prophecies of the end times and shit like that. He's making shit up, okay? I believe he's making shit up. Now, if you want to say, like, he is a true prophet of God, okay? You know what? You believe what you want about that asshole. But I believe he's just making that shit up. Just the research I've done on him so far, I think he's making a ton of shit up. And it's just, I think if anyone like the IHOP Kansas City is listening to this, or, looking at me right now, just something I want to talk about is just saying, hey, saying you don't agree with this, and firing people, that's one thing, like, that's like the bare minimum, the expectations, but there's more expectations, I'm gonna, I've, in my, like, can of worms I've opened up, a lot of people are going to be like, man, do you really hate Christianity? I'm like, no. And I'm hoping that when I start complaining about this and I start talking about this and all this, the shitty stuff IHOP Kansas City does, what I hope people are like, hey, I'm a Christian. We don't do this shit, And I just think one of what I would probably say is, if you're in church leadership and you find out another leader in the church is like doing this fucking shit, I don't want to say the actual words, YouTube. When you're doing stuff like this, I just think your actions speak louder than your words at this point. So, like, obviously, like, firing someone, making sure they're not in a position of leadership. But there's also kind of an important of where do we go from here? And what IHOP Kansas City has been trying to do is just one way they can solve a problem, but it's not fixing the underlying problem that's kind of continuing with them. It's just that, like, sexual assault, I guess I said it, sexual assault, investigation, get it to go away. Instead of sexual assault happens, we're not happy about it, we're going to fix the problem. We're not going to fix the problem. We're not just going to, like, deal with the problem. We're going to fix the problem. And they're not willing to fix the problem. They're willing to, I guess they're on their soapbox about how, like, we're the ones bringing in the you know, the forerunner, you know, or whatever they call their shit. And they just think, like, they can do no wrong. And if someone else does wrong, you're like, that's the price we pay for, you know, Jesus coming back from these little made-up prophecies. So, you know, it's one thing to be like, I think these prophecies are real, but you also have to think it's still a person. You know, if you read the story of Jonah, he was kind of a shit person. And where I guess the idea is that, like, he wanted Nineveh to, like, get destroyed, you know, in the story. And, yeah, it's like, just because someone's a prophet doesn't mean you have to like them. You know, you just listen to what they say, and be like, yeah, that guy likes kids, though. So, God may have spoken to him, but he still likes kids. So, you know. Anyways, though, I have Kansas City, where I'm coming for you. Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something else. We got more clips and full episodes too. If you like what you watch,